by our federal agencies, ATF, our local partners, as always, Arkansas State Police, North Little Rock Police Department, Little Rock Police Department, in bringing folks into custody this morning. Federal investigation has resulted today in charges against 4 people for their alleged involvement in fire bombings of police vehicles in Little Rock and North Little Rock on August of 2020. The charges in today's unsealed complaint include malicious destruction of property belonging to an entity receiving federal funding, conspiracy to commit those acts, and possession of a destructive device. According to the criminal complaint, which you all will get a copy of at the end of this briefing, on December 14th, 2020, numerous incidents of vandalism occurred after protests were held at local police stations earlier this year. On August 25th, 2020, a large group of protesters held a demonstration at the Little Rock Police Department 12th Street substation. The following morning, officers arrived for duty noticed that several police vehicles in their parking lot had punctured tires. Officers also saw 2 green glass bottles with fluid inside that smelled like gasoline. The bottles were examined and found to be consistent with improvised incendiary devices, commonly referred to as Molotov cocktails. A Molotov cocktail is made by using a container filled with an ignitable liquid and placing a wick in the opening of the container. If the Molotov cocktail functions as designed, the container will break, spreading the liquid, which will then light that's being lit by the flaming wick. According to the complaint, we have surveillance footage that reflected 2 individuals moving in the parking lot after the protest, and a flaming object can be observed being launched into the parking lot area. Cooperating witnesses stated that the Molotov cocktails were assembled at one of the 4 people that were arrested today. The complaint states that on August 28th, 2020, Arkansas State Police vehicle was vandalized and burned while stored in a fenced parking lot at the Arkansas State Police headquarters in Little Rock. And if you'll notice over here, we have blown up a still photo of a video that was taken, and it's a little bit hard to see, but that's actually the zenith of the explosion, and then the aftermath of what happened there. They actually cut through a fence, came into the parking lot, and threw the Molotov cocktail into the state police vehicle. And the way that the vehicles were parked, Colonel, we're probably lucky that we didn't have more than just the one that were burned. Including, in addition to that, surveillance video shows that 3 people entered the vehicle storage area wearing dark clothing and backpacks. The video shows them bending down in a motion consistent with slashing vehicle tires, as well as throwing the lighted object into the police vehicle. The complaint states that the witnesses informed law enforcement that the 4 individuals arrested today were responsible for the incident. Federal search warrants were executed to obtain the locations of their cell phones, and cell site data confirmed that their cell phones were in the location of the Arkansas State Police headquarters on August 28th, 2020 at the time of the incident. I think it is important that we recognize, again, the role that law enforcement plays in our society, the risk that they take, the duty to protect and to serve us. And in this district, we will not tolerate law enforcement officers being targeted with criminal acts. Peaceful protests are protected by the Constitution and encouraged, and we want that to happen if somebody feels like they want to do that and exercise their rights. But when you cross the line and you see an escalation in targeting and the level of violence related to law enforcement, there has to be a hard stop. And that's what this is today. If you target law enforcement in the Eastern District of Arkansas with violent acts, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And so that's what we're here to announce today. I think it's important to remember anytime we do this that people that are charged with a crime are innocent until proven guilty, and we have a process to follow. They're entitled to due process. They will receive it, but we have initiated that process and look forward to moving forward as it relates to these incidents. So with that said, we'll open it up for any questions.
In the case of the October, I believe the prosecutor attempted to have him held without bail. Are prosecutors for these 4 individuals attempting to do the same thing and hold them without bail in cases of development for flagrant?
Yeah, we haven't made that decision yet.
You said one was arrested from the first 2 that you saw on surveillance and then 3 others. Do you think they were all working together or are these separate people?
Yeah, we believe they were all working together. Yes, ma'am.
So can you release the names of the people that were arrested?
Yeah, it's in the release. It's in the release. In fact, you'll get a copy of the release and a copy of the complaint. The complaint has quite a bit of information in it that will help you with a lot of the details of the case.
Are you still searching for any more? Do you believe
It's a good question. We consider this to be an ongoing investigation, and so we have to be a little bit careful with the information that we provide. The information that you have there is obviously been filed in court and is open access. So we do consider this to be an ongoing investigation.
How much time do you feel that they'll be facing?
I probably better not talk about that, right? You know.
In terms of the assembling of the Molotov cocktails, can you give a little more information on how that information was obtained? You mentioned cooperating witnesses.
Right.
You said that they were assembled at somebody's home, is that
That's correct. Yeah, they were assembled at a home, and again, we do have cooperating witnesses, and we have to be careful with some of that because we want to protect the people that have cooperated with us in the investigation. Anybody else? And I've got Colonel Bill Bryant with the Arkansas State Police with me as well, so if anybody has a question for him about the incident there, you know, again, a pretty significant incident when, you know, they break into the compound, cut the wire and get in and slash, what was it, 20 some odd tires, Bill? 33 tires. And the cars were parked closely together, and it's 1,000 wonders that we didn't lose more vehicles. So.
No one was injured in any of the explosions?
No.
Are you able to talk any further on just those who were arrested? Some of the people listed in this report were pretty prominent during the protests.
Yeah.
Are you able to talk any further on that?
You know, we understand that they were prominent during the protest, and you know, obviously there was a lot of vandalism that went on there. But this is related. Again, the reason that we were involved at the federal level is because of the arson, and so that's why we're here today, because we do have a federal hook with agencies receiving federal monies related to an arson, and so that's why we were able to get involved.
There were other bombs that did not go off as well, right?
Yeah, 12th Street did not go off. That's correct. And Mr. Lungaho has already been charged with the North Little Rock and indicted there.
You prosecutors believe that Longaho is a part of the same group of people who are responsible for the
Yes.
ones that did not
Yes.
go on 12th Street and the Arkansas State Police?
Yes. Yeah, we believe they all work together. Yes. Part of the same group.
Just to expand on one thing that Cody talked about was, we had just purchased 66 brand-new Chevrolet Tahoes that of taxpayer money, and all of them were parked very close together. We're lucky we only lost the one. Again, 33 tires were slashed and about $42,000 worth of damage done. That these are taxpayer dollars that have bought these police vehicles. And it was a great team effort between the Little Rock Police Department, ATF, North Little Rock, our Criminal Investigation Division, the Arkansas State Police, and also our Fire Marshal's office. It was a great team effort, came together to work this because it's so important that we protect the rule of law, and law enforcement is the rule of law. So I just want to applaud the other agencies. We did come together as a team and was able to work through this complex investigation.
So you said, you know, they're innocent until proven guilty, but when we prosecute, what are we looking at charges-wise, and what could be the extent of the law if they're found guilty?
Well, again, the complaint that you have will outline all of that. Today, it's malicious destruction of property belonging to an entity receiving federal funding. Again, that's how, as the federal government, typically it's a state level prosecution, right? And so if they receive federal funding and it's related to arson, we can come in and charge at the federal level. So that's, and then also, you know, conspiracy to commit those acts and in possession of a destructive device. Those are the charges. anybody else. And if you've got questions about, when you read through the complaint, if you've got questions that you'd like to follow up with, you can call our office. Allison Bragg is our PIO. We'd be happy to help you to the extent we can. So, all right. All right. I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Took a while to write that complaint.
Do what?
I said, it took a while to write that complaint.
Oh, that was